In times when the world is scared, threatened, and facing the condemnation of sickness, everyone is doing their best to survive and continue living despite the existence of a virus that has claimed thousands of lives. Events continue to unfold, be it fortunate or unfortunate. While some of it was inevitable, most of the adversities were fruit to virus that could have actually been avoided if people were cautious and did what was necessary. Just like in any other fields of work and knowledge, malfunctioning and human errors have always been a major factor which led to different accidents and cost people's lives. The aviation industry is no different. This is the last landing, airing the flight 1344. Every year, there are 4 billion passengers who travel by plane, and each time we board an aircraft, we trust the airline company with our lives. It was a normal evening for everyone. On the 7th of August in the year 2020, a Boeing 737 departed from Dubai International Airport at 10. The flight was made as a part of the Vande Bharat mission, which aimed to send back Indians who were stranded due to the pandemic to their home country. It was a very normal takeoff, where one can feel their ears pop and had to chew some gum to drive off that uneasy feeling. Everything was within the normal parameters, with its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet in 33 minutes, and the aircraft ground speed was in the range of 800 to 700 kilometers per hour. It was like everything was going as planned, or so they thought. As the flight reached its destination, the sky turned extra black as the rain shrouded the city of Kozhikode, India. The aircraft was cleared for landing at runway 28 with reported visibility of 2,000 meters and headwinds of 15 knots. It was perfectly aligned to runway 28 at the height of 2,300 feet and with a speed at around 300 kilometers per hour. However, the pilot decided to abort the landing. The aircraft then made a turn and aligned itself to runway 10. The last data reported was when the aircraft was at 925 feet, heading 101 at a speed of 325 kilometers per hour with a tailwind of 15 knots and heavy rain. The aircraft landing exceeded 1 kilometer from the normal touchdown point, which reduced the braking distance to less than 2 kilometers. The remaining distance was not adequate to stop the aircraft, so it slid right off the rain-slicked tabletop runway, tumbled down a slope, and broke the fuselage in two. According to the Ministry of Civil Aviation, the plane had a total of 190 passengers and crew during the crash. 165 passengers and 4 cabin crew survived, but unfortunately, 19 passengers, together with the 2 pilots, died due to the crash. The crash was said to have happened due to a number of reasons, and the first major cause was the bad weather. During the attempt of landing, there was a tailwind in which the wind blew in the direction of travel of the aircraft. Basically, the aircraft was pushed by the wind towards the direction where it was moving, which required an additional braking action. Another major cause was the runway. According to the India Express, a tabletop runway is extremely dangerous. Tabletop runways are constructed by chopping off the top of a hill, which makes it tricky for landings because of the lack of any margin for overshooting the runway. The runway appears to be on closely leveled land despite the drop ahead. Without much of a margin, the aircraft overshot the runway. Aside from the environmental factors, human factors contributed greatly to this incident. Indian authorities ignored at least 2 recommendations in the past decade to install a safety system on such airstrips. Multiple cases like this have happened before. However, the authorities did not make any actions to prevent future accidents. An error in judgment with the pilots was also taken into account. Attempts of landing were made, failing at first, then pursued with the second, having an inadequate distance to halt the aircraft. They could have just done another go around and land at the normal landing point. Action plan was poorly laid out by the pilots due to the pressure of the situation. Poor judgment resulted in a scenario which startled the aviation industry. Bad weather conditions, dangerous runways, and error in judgment are but just a few of the many examples that cause accidents in the aviation industry. There were cases where the safety of an aircraft was jeopardized due to the faulty equipment and design, malfunctioning components, and even in passengers, where some dress up as a couple but are actually terrorists or thieves that try to hijack the aircraft. One example is the Aero-Peru Flight 603, where all people on board died due to the erratic and contradicting readings of the flight instrument. Another is the TWA Flight 847, where the aircraft was hijacked by 6 members, shot a US Navy, then held all passengers as hostages. The point is that, with every aircraft that we see in the sky, came with a lot of danger and risk. What if the aircraft mechanic forgot to tighten his screws? Or the aircraft was not airworthy but was still able to take off? What if the pilot suddenly felt ill while flying the aircraft? These are just examples, but these have already happened in the past that took a lot of lives. With the help of our aviation personnel, we were able to minimize the risk and are able to safely arrive at our destination. For example, an aircraft mechanic helps keep an aircraft in operating condition. Aircraft and avionics equipment mechanics and technicians perform scheduled maintenance, make repairs, and complete inspections. Every personnel that you see on board and off board the aircraft plays a vital role in making your flight safe and comfortable. The bottom line is that accidents happen. They are sometimes unforeseen and come unexpectedly. Some may have been planned beforehand, but most were just miscalculations or a mistake in their part. The crash of Aero-Peru Flight 603 and the hijacking of TW Flight 847 were just a few adversities that had happened in the past. Though lives were taken, lessons were learned and served as a basis in preventing future setbacks. The Air India Express Flight 1344 was a tragedy that many expressed as untimely and depressing. With the pandemic striking us globally, it is unacceptable as to how we can still have casualties which are not associated with the coronavirus. This misfortune taught us to value our lives and to be grateful of how safely we arrive at our homes whenever we ride an aircraft. Every takeoff of an aircraft comes with great risk, but with the cooperation of the aviation personnel as well as the passengers, there is no doubt that the accidents that we hear on the news will decrease significantly.